Hello and welcome to another Matt O'Leary live stream, getting you pumped up and ready to go for Jets Eagles at 4:25 Eastern Standard Time. I am amped up for this game. Can the New York Jets pull off what would be a pretty freaking big upset win at home against the Philadelphia Eagles? So the Jets are 2-3 heading into this game. As we all know, it's been well documented. The Philadelphia Eagles are 5-0 head into MetLife Stadium, where they are 12-0 against the New York Jets in their history. So can the Jets, number one, end the streak of the 5 straight wins for the Philadelphia Eagles to start the season? And then number two, historically speaking, this New York Jets team usually tends to struggle against the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll break down the latest storylines. We'll hop into your questions. As you guys know, Super Chats go first, but we'll get into your questions. We'll do call-ins at the end. But I want to first show you guys something really cool that I'm working with Underdog. So if you use my promo code Underdog Fantasy, my promo code is Matt. It's also linked in the pinned comment and down in the description. Right now, Underdog is giving a 100% match deposit bonus up to $500. So if you deposit 500, Underdog is giving you another 500 on top of that. Normally it's up to 100. So they are 5xing it right now. So if you want to sign up, now is the time. These are my picks for Underdog this week. 3 picks to try to win $75. Put a 10 spot down on it. So I have Zach Wilson going over 194.5 passing yards. I think the Jets game plan is they're going to have to be able to throw the ball a little bit in this one. Last week, Zach Wilson went 199. The week prior, Zach Wilson was also over this mark in what was probably his best game of the season. And the Philadelphia Eagles have struggled against the passing attack, and have kind of struggled against the run. But also, you can't just pick all Jets. You have to mix it. So for my Eagles one, I am taking the higher on Jalen Hurts at 43.5 rushing yards, because the Jets have given up more than that each of the last 2 weeks to Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson. And finally, I have Breece Hall getting in the end zone. It could be a rushing touchdown. It could be a receiving touchdown. I know I just talked about, the Jets in this game probably having to throw the ball a little bit more. But if they get down in the red zone, we know how much Nathaniel Hackett likes to feed Breece Hall the ball. So you can either ride with me and try to go the turn $10 into 75, or if you want to fade me, do the opposite or put your own one in. It's a ton of fun. I've enjoyed working with Underdog so far. So make sure to jump in on the action if you haven't yet. Once again, promo code Matt. And it's linked in both the description of the video as well as the pinned comment in the chat. Don't worry, later on we will switch the pinned comment to the call-in portion. But just a few things that we want to get to first, and storylines from this game. Not that this person is playing in this game, but how do we not talk about this? Aaron Rodgers rolling up. He's in the building for a second time in a row while the Jets are at home. Obviously, he didn't travel with the team on the road in Denver. But one, is it awesome that Aaron Rodgers is in the building? Yes, of course. And I was just excited to see that. But how about Aaron Rodgers walking with no crutches this early? That's pretty impressive. I know he's got a little limp to him, but this is an injury that he was supposed to be out for a really long time, was out of a walking boot in 13 days, and now is walking no crutches, 5 weeks after getting surgery? That's pretty quick turnaround. So how do you not bring that one up? And how do you not mention Aaron Rodgers rolling in? Excited to have him there in the building as well, and looking good. Gonna hopefully talk to the team before this game. And this is going to be a tough one for the Jets today, because unfortunately there is no Sauce Gardner or no DJ Reed. And we'll get more into that in a little bit. But oh my God, as of 35 seconds ago, here we go. Another Aaron Rodgers storyline. Look at this. He's playing catch before the game. He's throwing the football. This guy had surgery a little over a month ago. No, right around a month ago, right? It was September 12th he had the surgery, or 13th. We're October 15th. Guy's throwing the pigskin already. No crutches, just out there doing him. What do we think about that, guys? Yeah, I see everyone in the comments. We got suit him up, says Andrew. I love that. But look at this. Again, I know he's not playing, but come on. How nuts is it for Aaron Rodgers to already be back throwing the football? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm excited for this game. I got Red Zone on in the background, so we're seeing the games go Right now, they're showing the Browns look like they're about to punt right back to the 49ers before the half. I'm surprised they're not at halftime yet. This has been one of the slower games so far. Some other ones are in the second half or already, but I was a little disappointed in the Carolina Panthers. They go up 14 zip, right? Carolina goes up 14 nothing, and they're playing the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins come right storming back. They did not hold that lead very long, and I believe it's 21-14. Last I saw it was 21-14 before coming on here and getting this thing going, getting the live stream going. But it would have been nice for an upset win. I know that maybe it was a little too optimistic thinking because one, it's Carolina and they've looked absolutely awful, and the Miami Dolphins have kind of looked like a juggernaut every week except for the Buffalo Bills game. But it would have been really nice in order for us to see an upset win. Things you just absolutely love to see. Thomas says, get that guy in a jersey. He's ready. Merc Life saying that is insanely impressive. It is. He's throwing out there on the field. That's nuts. We're going to see him at some point this year. He's playing again this year. I don't know how you could not be convinced of it. That's epic. Epic stuff. So let's go through again some of the injuries, which were really a bummer to see. We knew that DJ Reed was going to be out, and Sauce Gardner is downgraded to out with a concussion. Now he was sick earlier in the week, but it kind of makes sense. Like I don't understand why people were confused about it because nausea and vomiting is a symptom of having a concussion. So hearing him be like, "Oh, I was sick and not feeling well earlier in the week," and now it's like, "Oh, well, you actually had a concussion." Not the most surprising thing in the world, but let's pull up the injury report. We don't have inactives yet. Once the inactives come out, we'll have a better idea for this one. But Brandon Eccles is out. DJ Reed is out. Special teams ace Justin Hardy is out. And Sauce Gardner has been updated to out. But Xavier Gibson is questionable. Michael Clemens is questionable. And Nick Bawden is questionable as well. And I actually did a video on it yesterday. So with Xavier Gibson questionable, would they activate Mecole Hardman again? Because, if for whatever reason, God forbid, he's not good to go, I would like Xavier Gibson to be good to go. I think he's been, explosive player in both the offense and the return game. But could this finally be the week that they maybe unleash him a little bit right before the bye? And, that's not to necessarily say that, that's going to be it, that, he's back in the offense after that and, they hash things out. But you could potentially even just use him to showcase if you really wanted to, if you're not going to have him as a long-term part of the team for the rest of the year. In a pinch like this week, could you use him? I think there's absolutely a world where you could use Xavier Gibson on this one. I really do. Because if Xavier Gibson's not good enough to go, then you have Mecole Hardman come in, and I would absolutely think that he could play a factor as a returner, and he kind of plays that similar role. Like I think one of the biggest reasons why we haven't seen a ton of Hardman yet this year is because of how quickly he was able to, come on as a rookie. It's really impressive to see what he's been able to do as a rookie so far. But yeah, we're gonna have to keep a close eye on it. I was pulling up the Philadelphia Eagles injury report. This is of the 13th. We're gonna be able to see Jalen Carter's inactive. We know that Darius Slay is going to be inactive. Some other names to keep an eye on. Fletcher Cox is supposed to be good to go. I would imagine that he's going to be playing in this game. Quez Watkins, someone we'll keep an eye on. But the big news on the defensive side of the ball that we got this week for the Philadelphia Eagles was that neither Darius Slay or Jalen Carter will be playing in this game. And that's something you would hope you'd be able to take advantage of as a passing offense, because when you look at it, they both have a bigger impact in the pass game than the run. And I know an interior defensive lineman like Jalen Carter, you would think, well, he's got to be a big reason why the Eagles are one of the best, if not the best, run defenses in the NFL. But really, he's been a major, major impact in the passing game. His pressure rate is off the charts. He's been in there. He has the same number of pressures as Aaron Donald does through the first 5 weeks of the season. So his presence has really been felt as a pass rusher. So having him out on the interior of that defensive line is going to play a major, major factor. And then Slay, I know he hasn't really been his old self so far to start this year, but when healthy, that's a really damn good cornerback as well. And this secondary of the Eagles has been really banged up, which is why myself and a ton of other people, I don't want to just say like, oh, I'm out on an island doing this. A lot of people have said this, and for good reason. The Jets are going to have to throw the ball this week. And I know Breece Hall just had a fantastic game against the Denver Broncos, but like two really different defenses and two, I would think, really different game plans. Where they were just running the ball at will against Denver. I don't think that's going to be the case this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. It's very, very challenging to get anything going on the ground against this team. And, if you find yourself down like what you were in the game against the Chiefs, you're going to have to throw to get back into it. But that might end up being your best case scenario because that's what the Eagles kind of struggle with. They haven't been the best against the pass. So that might be your opportunity to take advantage. And like, you got to be aggressive. You can't go so conservative, especially in the red zone. I thought the Jets last week 0 for 5 in the red zone went way too conservative for me once they got inside the 20. And hopefully they throw it a little bit more. Too many times they were running it on 2nd and goal from like the 9-yard line. Puts you in a bad spot on 3rd downs. And, these teams, whether it be, or these guys, whether it be Zach Wilson or Nathaniel Hackett talking about having to be better on 3rd down, you got to put yourself in advantageous situations on 3rd down. And I don't think the Jets did a very good job of that in recent weeks. King Jamie the Mad, everyone's favorite Kansas City Chiefs fan, checking in with us. What's going on? He says, Jets can win this game, bro. Even with a few guys out, I think this will get the Jets back into the mix. And really, honestly, I think it should be a good game. Losing Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed is going to be a massive, massive, massive challenge for this defense. Bryce Hall is going to start. They're going to, have a rotation of guys coming in and trying to, stay active in this one. And if Sauce was playing and you were just out DJ Reed, then I'd be like, all right, this is still a cornerback room that I think is good enough. But it's going to be a real challenge with those two guys out. Michael Carter is going to have his workout cut out for him in the slot. He's a great slot corner, one of the best slot corners in the NFL, but he's going to be the best cornerback on the field. As I just watched Geno Smith throw an interception to who is that on the Bengals? Don't know. Doesn't matter. But sorry, moral of the story is it's going to be a big challenge for this Jets defense. And another thing we've talked a lot about just this week in general is the Jets have to do a better job of spying the quarterback, right? They finally adjusted and did that in the second half, and it worked wonders for them. But they had Sauce Gardner in the game for that. If you have guys who aren't as great in coverage, you can't afford sometimes to leave a guy and just spy with that player because you need the extra person in pass coverage. So it's not that simple to just be like, all right, well, now we're going to just put the spy on, because then if the quarterback isn't running, he's going to have an easier time passing the football. So I'm really curious to see how both Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich, scheme this up, because they are going to be at a disadvantage, missing their two best corners in DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. But at the same time, like, that doesn't mean that it's an excuse. You just, fold up shop and that's it. Like, you just call it. That's the game. They are going to have to get this defensive line home. To me, that's the story now is you have to be able to get home with your defensive line. And I think that would be the recipe for success against, again, not easier said than done, because this is probably the best offensive line in football. So we'll see. Fear is grim. I love this one. It's official. Aaron Rodgers ain't human. No, it doesn't seem that way. After we see Aaron Rodgers out there on the sideline, I'll pull it up again in case you missed it from earlier. That's Aaron Rodgers throwing pregame. No crutches. It's light stuff, right? But still, this is 5 weeks after an injury, and he's already out there throwing the football around a little bit. It's impressive. No matter how you slice it, it's really impressive to see him in that spot, honestly. We'll keep you updated. I also liked, I don't know if you guys saw Joe Tippmann walking in the stadium. He's ready to go. Big Joe Tippmann. Look at this with the cowboy hat on, the mullet flowing. He is ready. To me, that screams I'm going to open up a big hole for Breece Hall today. Breece is going to have a long run right behind me. And he has a really, really tough task going up against this defensive line, obviously, as we know, which is one of the better defensive lines in football. But I'm curious to see how Max Mitchell plays. These two guys next to each other, two youngsters. Max Mitchell was a 4th-round rookie from last year's draft class, was not supposed to play last year, but did because of injuries and was okay. And this year struggled in training camp. He ends up having to come in due to the Elijah Vera Tucker injury. And now, how does he look? And I thought coming in relief for Elijah Vera Tucker in that game against the Denver Broncos, I thought he looked pretty good. He held his own, especially as a run blocker. I thought he was excellent as a run blocker. He let up a pressure as a passer, but I think as a pass blocker rather, but I think he'll be fine today. And with the assistance of Joe Tippmann, I mean, with all due respect to the Jets offensive line from last year and to Nate Herbig, who is the right guard for this team for a majority of the season, I think that playing next to Joe Tippmann, in theory, should make Max Mitchell's life a little bit easier. And I don't think he will look as bad as what he did last year. Not that he was terrible. He wasn't. He was okay. And there were moments where he really struggled. And there were moments where he looked pretty good. I think he played above expectation, but again, I think playing next to Joe Tippmann is something that should, in theory, make his life a little bit easier for him. Mindy chimes in and says, Matt, since the Jets are not supposed to do well today, it's the best to have our key injured guys out. Let them get healthy and be ready for the next winnable game. I guess that's one way to look at it. They do have a bye week after this game as well. And to me, I think that's really the biggest factor in all of this is that they are going into the bye. So in theory, should be a good time for guys like DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner to get healthy. I was hoping when we found out the injury news regarding Elijah Vera Tucker, we know that he left the game against Denver, but I was hoping maybe misses a game against the Eagles, goes into the bye week, comes back and is ready to go against the Giants. But we know now that that's not the case. And he's unfortunately out for the season with the Achilles injury happening a few weeks after Aaron Rodgers is not ideal. The 2 wins, 2 Achilles gone, which is again frustrating, but a fair point that after the bye, the schedule does lighten up a little bit, and it won't be a disaster if the Jets lose this game. I want them to win. It would be amazing to go into the bye week at 3-3 and pulling off a really, really big upset against an undefeated team and a team that you've literally never beaten in your history. But if they don't and they go into the bye at 2-4, you can still survive that because of some of the games on the slate and some of the games on the schedule after said bye week. So I'm with you. Charles says play action pass is going to be huge today, early and often. Have to establish Breece as well. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. I want them in the run game when they do run the ball. I want them to lean on Breece Hall more than any other running back. But I want to pull up stats that I pulled. I tweeted it out over the weekend. I believe it was. Oh no, maybe I tweeted it on Friday. Hang on a second. I'm going to scroll back here. I think you guys will enjoy this. It has to do with the play action. Here we go. Here's the numbers. So I'm going to minimize your comment, Clay, or Charles, excuse me. I'm going to minimize your comment and just pull up the stats. Zach Wilson off of play action this year is 17 of 27, which is a 62.96 completion percentage. Just you round up to 63, 225 yards, 8.3 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a 114 rating. He has been excellent off the play action this year. He has thrived off of it. And obviously, the more you run it, the less it works in theory because teams aren't biting as much. But everyone in the world knows the Jets' identity is they want to be able to run the football with Breece Hall. And the more you do the play action and the more it works, that's then going to open up the run game because you'll be able to see at that point, okay, the defense will pause for a second, and go, wait, they're going to pass it here. And then that's when you really run the ball. and that should open up the lane. So the play act, usually it's the run game opens up the play action, but this week it might actually be the run game that, or the play action game that opens up the run game. 7H asks thoughts on Hassan Reddick versus our offensive tackles. That could be a real problem. Reddick is a very, very, very speedy guy off the edge, and neither Max Mitchell or Mekhi Becton usually do well with those pure speed guys. So I really think that could be a problem. And, I think if I'm Joe Douglas and Nathaniel Hackett, or like Robert Saleh and Nathaniel Hackett, not Joe Douglas, what I would do is put a lot of Jeremy Ruckert in there to help Chip, just be like, hey, because he's probably, Reddick more often than not lines up over the right tackle. You can move him around, but if that's the case, put a tight end, specifically I would say Ruckert because he's your best blocker, but any tight end, put them on the right side of the offensive line and have him help out while you put the left tackle, in this case Mekhi Becton, on an island a little bit, because I have more faith in Mekhi than I do with Max Mitchell, unfortunately. So I think that would be what I would do to potentially neutralize it. Or I don't think there's a way where you're going to completely neutralize that pass rush, right? Because they're just so good. But I think that gives you your best chance of success. Liam says, feed Hall and put the ball in the hands of Garrett Wilson, contain the Philly offense, we win. Yeah, I mean, this is probably a little bit easier said than done, but I do agree that that's probably your best case scenario to a win, right? Is you get the ball to your two best offensive players, and you're going to, one thing I will give this Jets defense credit for, not that they don't deserve credit, but even with these some guys out, they did a really good job through the first few weeks of the year creating turnovers, specifically against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. They turned Allen over 4 times. They turned Mahomes over twice. Should have been 3 times, really. The third interception was called back. So, there's absolutely a scenario where that's the case again today. And Jalen Hurts has turned it over a little bit. He's thrown some interceptions this year. So I think if that's the case, if you're able to get him to throw a pick or two, that's also what it's going to take to win, in order to have to win this one. It's not easy, but they could do it. They absolutely can do it. Hugo says, I predict a 28-14 win. I like that. Sign me up. Prestige says, I'm telling you, if Garrett, Brees, or even McColl get out in open space, they're going to make big plays. Speed kills. It's something the Eagles lack. Yeah, and that's probably, again, your best case scenario to success is you're going to need to have a couple big explosive plays. And all 3 guys that you mentioned, even if you want to throw in Xavier Gibson in the mix there, all those guys that you just listed off are explosive players. And it is something that the Eagles lack in comparison. They're still a fantastic team, and they're 5-0 for a reason, but I like this. I like that positivity right there. Yeah, Carmelo chimes in, says contain the tight end for Philly because he's explosive. Talking about Goddard. Yeah. That is another thing that's easier said than done. I would think you put Quincy Williams on him because Quincy has been significantly better in pass coverage this year. It's an area where in years gone by he's struggled with, but he's been absolutely fantastic in coverage. So I do think that's something that they should try to do. Put Quincy on Dallas Goedert, because the corners are going to have their hands full. And I would think the safeties are going to have their hands full with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith without your 2 best corners. So, yeah, we got some of the beat now chiming in with this Aaron Rodgers stuff where you have Connor Hughes taking pictures. Aaron Rodgers, who tore his Achilles on September 11th, is throwing a football on the field during pregame warmups. It's October 15th. Jets quarterback targeting a return this year would be historically quick recovery. And then you have Samini tweeting this out. Aaron Rodgers throwing. The man isn't even 5 weeks removed from Achilles surgery. And he's throwing gingerly, right? Like he's not doing anything crazy, but it's wildly impressive that that's the case, that he's out of the walking boot already and tossing the ball around on the sideline a little bit. Let's see what else we got in the chat. Jets Chaos is here. What's going on, dude? Make sure to tune into the live stream with Jeremy and Green Bean and the gang over on Green Bean's channel. I will be on at halftime over there, so make sure to tune in. Do we have inactives? It looks like we do. And as apparently Michael Clemens is inactive. Here we go. We will have the list right now. I will pull it up as we speak. So Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Jason Brownlee, Izzy Abanikanda, Brandon Eccles, Zaire Barnes, and Michael Clemens are the inactives for today. That means that Carl Lawson is active. That also means Mecole Hardman is active. Xavier Gipson is active. So some things that we talked about earlier, I guess I'm a little bit surprised with Clemens inactive over Carl Lawson, because the little that we've seen of Carl Lawson, he has not looked good this year. He still looks like a guy who is very injured right now. And again, maybe that changes and he, finally got the rest that he needed and he looks better this week. But I don't know. I don't know about that one. The rest aren't too surprising, right? Like, Sauce, Eccles, and Reed were not going to play. Brownlee and Abanikanda have been inactive every week. I guess really the only surprise here is Clemens now inactive instead of, what they normally do, which the last few weeks has been Carl Lawson, which I probably would have done. I would have kept Carl Lawson inactive and not made Michael Clemens inactive, but we'll see what happens there. Carmelo says Abanikanda out for how long? He's been inactive the entire season. He's healthy. He's just he's a healthy scratch. Unless they move off of Dalvin Cook, which they haven't really shown any signs of doing that, then I don't think we're going to see much of Israel Abanikanda this year. I would like to. I love the explosiveness that we saw from him in training camp and in the preseason, but I'm not sold that we're going to see much of Izzy Abanikanda this year. And maybe we'll see Jason Brownlee finally if they move off of Hardman at some point, who is active today. SG31 Black. He is a member of the channel. If you want to be a member of the channel, you could support as well by hitting the join button down below. It is much, much more appreciated. Says, how can our safeties help out our cornerbacks today? Well, they're gonna be needed in coverage. I would imagine the Jets run more zone today than they normally do because you're out two of your better corners. But I think Jordan Whitehead, Tony Adams, and even guys, the depth guys like Adrian Amos and Ashton Davis, are going to have to be present and relevant today. I really do. In order for them to have success, I think that is the best way for them to do that. I'm going to drop the call-in line in the chat. So if you want to call in and join the program, you can do that. I just dropped it in. I'm going to pin it, make this the pinned comment as well in a second once it pops up on the YouTube end. And there we go. Replace pin message. So it's now pinned. So if you guys want to join in the show, you can. We'll be on for about another half hour or so. White Mike says Pat's got us if McDonald's is a bus or I don't know what the second half of this is, but I'm not ready to bail on McDonald. It takes pass rushers a little bit longer, and not that I wasn't really a big fan of the pick at the time. If you guys remember, that's not the direction I wanted to see the Jets go. But I think he showed some signs of explosiveness in the preseason. And, going forward, Carl Lawson's not going to be here next year. And you don't know who else is going to be out there, on the edge for this team in the future. So they liked him a lot. They liked him over, guys like Broderick Jones, someone who, he ended up being taken before the Jets. But if Broderick Jones was on the clock, was on the board, and the Jets were on the clock, I still think they would have went Will McDonald over. I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with that, but that's what it seemed like that they were going to do anyway. Indy Jets, what's going on? Indy says, Matt, this be the game we get a rough. Will this be the game we get a roughing the passer call for us? Unlikely. I don't see that happening. I want that to be the case, but we just have not really seen. We haven't seen it yet. So until proven otherwise, I'm going to say no. Maybe eventually we do, but I hope this is the week that they finally do it. It would be nice. It'd be really freaking nice, but here's Phillies inactive. So let's pull that up as well. Thank you, Indy Jets, for the comment. Darius Slay, Tanner McKee, who's their third quarterback, Sidney Brown, Rashad Penny, Jalen Carter, Albert Akwig, that's a name, and Marlon Tuipulotu. Marlon Tuipulotu is also inactive. So not a ton of surprises. Darius Slay and Jalen Carter we knew about going into this week. That's pretty big news for both of those guys because they are both key pieces to that Philadelphia defense. Oreo says, game was difficult with Sauce. A.J. Brown is going to feast. It's going to be ugly. 34-10 Eagles. Do you believe Zach gets benched? Will there be competition between him and Simeon during the bye? I don't think so, man. I don't. 34-10 seems a little extreme to me. I'm still sticking with, I picked the Eagles to win this game. I think they still probably do, but I'm not going to say 34-10 ugly fest. I'm not there. Let's go. We got a caller on the line. Let's go to everyone's favorite Chiefs fan, Kinjay. What's going on, dude? How are you?
Hey, buddy. I guess my camera's not working. I'm sorry about that.
They're good. I see you.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, man, I was just thinking maybe you guys should trust in Saleh, the greatest defensive coach in the game. Maybe he's probably already got a plan for him, and I think you guys will probably get this W.
I hope so. I think that obviously they're going to need a plan to come up with a stop for the tush push. That's been the story all week, but we'll see if they're able to overcome losing Sauce and DJ Reed. You're right. They're going to have to try to do something a little bit different, but I love the Robert Saleh positivity here. That's something that I'll sign up for.
He's a good coach, man. And that tush push thing, there's already players talking about faking injuries so they can get that thing banned. That's kind of messed up. They finally figure something that'll work, and then everybody wants to take it away.
Yeah, no one does it as good as they do, though. I just saw a team earlier. I had Red Zone on. It might have been the Vikings tried to run it, and it doesn't work the same. They just have the best offensive line in the game and a quarterback who's so explosive that it just it works for them.
They got a Kelsey.
That helps.
Jason is a beast, man. He's so cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jason Kelsey. I will fully admit that. I like Travis too. I do.
I was thinking that instead of all the hate for Taylor Swift, you guys should be promoting breeding her with Travis Kelsey so that in the future maybe you could get a Swift Kelsey draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, you might be onto something there. You might be onto something there. Maybe we spin it that way. You think Travis at the game today? You think he ends up going?
I would imagine so. I mean, why not support your bro?
Yeah, he was in New York last night on SNL, so he's in the area. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, that's cool, Matt. Hey, I'm gonna let you go, bro. I love the show, man.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you for checking in as always to King Jamie.
We're gonna on. Have a great day, everybody. Good luck. Go Jets.
There we go. Love that. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see what else we got going on here in the chat. Ulysses says we'll be 2-4. Even if that's the case, Ulysses, I'll take 2-4 at the bye, because with Aaron Rodgers, so many people were predicting that the Jets would go 3-3 at the bye, and then things would turn up after the bye weekend in the second half of the season. But if you're 2-4, just one game off that pace with your backup quarterback, I'm going to spin that into a positive. They needed that win last week in Denver. They got it today. It feels like a house money game. I want them to win. I think there's a path where they could win, but if they lose, it is what it is. I'm not, no one should be getting bent out of shape if they lose to a 5-0 Eagles team. That's really freaking good. And the Jets are down their 2 best corners. No one should go nuts over that. Thomas, no way, man. He needs to get the Chiefs fan out of here. This is a pro King Jamie the Mad show. He is such a big supporter of our Jets content, guys. I always see him in Richie's streams. We are pro King Jamie the Mad. He is the best Chiefs fan in the world. He also is very supportive of the Jets content, guys. Love it. Yeah, that's what Quill says. He's like, hey, I like this guy. Yeah. He's one of the best opposing fan that we've seen. Even during Chiefs week. Very respectful. It was like, hey, like, obviously wanted to see it with Rodgers going against Mahomes. He's like, the Jets are going to hang tough. It's going to be a good game. And he was right. They did. White Mike says it's better than Pats, Steelers, Dallas, and the like. Oh, in terms of opposing teams? Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm sorry. I missed the first comment. But you're right. We are, again, reiterate, we are a big King Jamie fan. Always will be. Just rechecking in on Twitter to see if there's any updates. Again, we saw Aaron Rodgers throwing pregame, which is very, very surprising. Rich Samini with a semi-positive tweet. Quote tweets his video saying he's not only throwing, but he's stepping into it and putting some weight on his left foot, the surgically repaired side, that's right. No crutches, walking, throwing. He's playing. I want to believe that he's playing. Let's try to stick on the positive side that we're going to see Aaron Rodgers back at some point this year. How about, I believe it was Nick Faria, who goes on with Jake Asman every week and is one of my new favorite guys on the beat. I actually do think he is my favorite guy on the beat. Where he was talking about what if week 18 Jets are 8-8 going into the last game of the season, a win and in New England situation, and you get Aaron Rodgers coming back. And I said, hell yeah, sign me the F up for that. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Douglas, thank you so much for the super chat, Douglas. I appreciate your support. He says it's all house money with this game, which is exactly what I was saying. I agree. Both offense and defense need to play aggressively, blitz on defense to disrupt the rhythm with secondary not up to par, and let Zach Wilson air it out on offense. Douglas, I could not agree more with this chat. This is a phenomenal answer and point that you bring up. So on the offensive side of the ball, they need to throw it with Zach. And I'm not saying 50 times. No one's coming on here and saying that Zach Wilson needs to throw the ball 50 times. Maybe Jets forever, RIP. We haven't seen Jets forever in a few weeks. Don't know what he's up to. But if Zach can throw the ball 35 times, kind of like what they did in the Chiefs game, honestly, that was their best game plan to date. And it happened because they were down. But he's been great off the play action this year. And we know just how good this Philadelphia Eagles team is against the run. So it's going to be much, much harder for Breece Hall today. And I'm not saying abandon Breece Hall. He's way too talented of a running back to just go, you know what? Tough defense, tough run defense. Let's just throw it 100% of the time. No one's saying that. But you got to let Zach throw. And you can't go down conservative. If you're going to go down swinging. And that's what the game felt like against the Kansas City Chiefs. I wanted the Jets to win that game. They got screwed out of getting another possession at the end of the game, but they went down swinging, and I'll give them credit for that. And on the defensive side of the ball, you might have to blitz to get home because that's a great offensive line. It's a stellar offensive line, in fact. What happened in this Bears game? Justin Fields get hurt? I missed that. Justin Fields got hurt in the third quarter, apparently. I missed that. And to close out with Douglas' super chat, and again, appreciate the support. The defense, it's going to be challenging without your regular corners. You can't just say we're going to leave Bryce Hall on an island and we're going to leave, Craig James or whoever ends up on the other side on an island. It's going to be a challenge. So I'm with you, Douglas. Thank you again for supporting. Always does. White Mike hits the thumbs up button. Love it. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button if you're in here hanging out. It helps get us in front of more people. So I appreciate all the love and support there. Prestige is back, says, one thing I do not want to see, no slow starts. I'm tired of the slow starts. I really don't want to see a slow start against the Giants either. It seems like every single game this year, they've gotten off to a slow start. It would be really nice for the offense to come out and go on a nice long drive and get points. And even on the defensive side of the ball, like it's taken them a little bit to adjust. They've been a phenomenal second half defense. And pretty much the only game where they actually like struggled throughout, I would say, was the game against the Dallas Cowboys. And they, thankfully were able to, come back a little bit in these games and really buckled down. Again, they've been a fantastic second half defense. For the game against the Denver Broncos, they didn't give up a yard until halfway through the fourth quarter, the second to last drive in the second half. It was like 4 straight 3-and-outs to start the game, man. How about on the defense? You get off the field quick, then you go right down the field and score points. Sign me up for that. Get up early, start playing confident, and we'll see. I think that's the recipe for success, right? Let's see what else we got. Prestige says, I don't care who the Jets have at quarterback. They should crush the Giants. This Giants team looks really, really, really bad. They do look really bad. And, the Jets will be coming off a bye. You don't want to look too far ahead, right? Obviously, there's this game, then the bye week, and then they play the Giants. But who knows if Tyrod Taylor is going to be playing today because Daniel Jones is banged up. So who knows if it's Daniel Jones or Tyrod in a couple of weeks. But that offensive line is so bad. I think the Jets defense is going to have a really good day. And kind of like what Prestige is saying, I don't know if it's going to really matter all that much if the offense doesn't do a lot, because defensively, I think they're going to be great. Oreo with some heat on the offense. This offense scored 22 points on the worst defense in the NFL, and 15 came from field goals. I don't believe this team will be in the playoff contention at the end. That is absolutely fair. They are not a good defense. I was hoping that they'd be able to score more points in which they did. And a big part of that was they were not good at all in the red zone. It's a much better task, or much harder task today. I don't see why they can't be in playoff contention, though, because their defense is going to keep them in games, and their schedule after the bye week stinks. Your hardest games, you have Miami twice and you have Buffalo. Those are 3 tough games. But beyond that, you have the Giants, who look terrible. You have the Raiders, who look terrible. You have the Chargers, who are a hit and miss team, and they're coming from the West Coast to play on the East Coast. You have the Commanders, who have a good defense, but I'm not sure, I'm sure the Jets defense could handle Sam Howell. You have the Texans with a rookie quarterback. The Texans look good at times, but I think, the Jets should be able to handle business there. You have a much more favorable schedule in the second half. If you're 8-8, just hanging around 500, hanging around the average, then that's all you really need to be to have a shot in the final weeks of the year. I would have liked to see them score more points last week. And, that's a fair criticism. They had to settle for way too many field goals in that game. But I'm not out on this team yet. John says, not feeling good about today's game. Fair. With down to your 2 starting corners is very, very tough. How many yards for Brees today? I'm gonna say 12 carries for 50 yards, somewhere around that. A little over 4 yards a carry, but I don't think he pops a long one. I think, against a very, very tough defense, run defense, he's going to have an okay day. 12 carries, 50 yards is not bad. Oreo. Really? That the quarterback play in those games is a big reason for that. If the quarterback play isn't nearly as bad as what it was down the stretch last year, they don't lose those 6 games. Defense still played well. What Mike says, this is the best run defense in the league. Just don't let Brees get injured. Yeah, that you can't afford to lose Brees Hall. He is too good for this team. Oh, yeah, and let's go back to that for a second. Brees Hall played in 0 of those games. And their offensive line's better this year than what it was last year. Little Jay says, hear me out. Brees gets 1K yards this game. 1,000-yard rusher in a game. Could you imagine? How insane would that be if Brees Hall is putting up 1,000 yards on the ground in one game? Sign me the hell up for that. Might as well. I want to do a quick refresh on the old Bird app and see if we got any updates from anybody from MetLife. Nothing new yet. We're still waiting. Although Zach Wilson was the first guy out on the field. This is for a little while ago, but here's Zach Wilson walking out of onto the field to play. As we got a little spinny circle, wheel of death, so it's not going to show. But Zach Wilson was the first one out there. Robert Saleh ran his stairs. Nothing new there. Brian says, let's be realistic. 900 yards max. Yeah. 1,000, that's crazy talk. 900, I'm in. Sign me up for 900. Enough of Rodgers talking. He's got to walk for this team. He is walking. Did we see the video? I'll pop that up. Aaron Rodgers walking, no limp. I will gladly pull that back up on the screen. Look at this. Aaron Rodgers, thank you so much for bringing me on the cart. I appreciate it. Here I am walking with no crutches. He's the man. I'm going to leave this with no comment on here. No comment from me to Oreo, but good luck with midterms. Oh, God. I love this. I love getting to hang out with you guys. You guys make me laugh. By the way, Gardner Minshew, 3 turnover day today. Jaguars are up big on the Indianapolis Colts. So not a great return to Jacksonville for Gardner Minshew in this one. That would really stink if Anthony Richardson's out for the year. I don't like injuries to begin with, but a rookie quarterback going down like that, that's tough. Brian says Rodgers is going to be levitating by Giants week. Yeah, he's going to float in there. Like everything's fine. Nothing's going wrong here. We're good. Everything's okay. You guys crack me up. Prestige says, is it really a hot take to say the Jets would be 5-0 or 4-1 with Rodgers right now? I don't think 5-0, but I do think that they probably are 4-1. I think that's a fair estimate. They still probably would have lost the Dallas game because of how poor the defense was in that one, but they definitely beat the Patriots in that game. And they probably beat the Chiefs. They probably do beat the Chiefs. I would say 4-1. It's possible that they'd be 5-0, but I would comfortably, say that they'd be 4-1. Now we got even Adam Schefter tweeting about Aaron Rodgers. Look at this. Aaron Rodgers pregame today via the NFL. Throwing the rock. Let's watch it. 20 seconds of Aaron Rodgers throwing the football. Putting some weight on that surgically repaired Achilles on the left foot. It's not the back foot. It's his left foot, the plant one that is the one that is surgically repaired. He is trying to make a comeback to play for this team at some point during the regular season. We will see if that is the case. I hope that he's able to do it. Obviously, if the Jets are way out of it, it doesn't matter. Don't bring him back. But I would like for this team to be relevant and in a position where you could potentially bring him back down the stretch here. Yeah, this is unfortunate. Carmelo says Miami torching that Carolina defense. Very unfortunate because the Carolina got up to a 14-0 lead. I was like, oh, maybe maybe we're going to get something here. And then 28 unanswered points from Miami, just seemingly moving at will. And apparently the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey has an oblique injury and is questionable to return, which is not good for my fantasy football team and not good for him, obviously. But Christian McCaffrey's been carrying me this year. I need him. That game is surprisingly close. 10-10 in the third quarter. And the 49ers are, the Browns are driving. The Browns look like they're going to attempt a field goal to take the lead. PJ Walker's played okay today. He hasn't been terrible. I don't know if I agree with this. Cavs Op says quarterback hasn't been our main issue. The offensive line is terrible. I don't think the offensive line is terrible. I think they've played the first. If you want to say they struggled the first 2 weeks, I would say absolutely. But I think they've been pretty solid the last 3 weeks since they brought Joe Timmon in to play right guard. They move Mekhi Becton from right tackle to left tackle, and when AVT was at right tackle the last few weeks, I think they actually played pretty well. Again, Dallas game, they were really, really bad. And I thought at times during the Buffalo game, they were really bad. But I don't know. I wouldn't say they are there are significantly worse offensive line situations in this league than the Jets right now. Look across town. If you want to see a really terrible offensive line, look across town. That is corner 2, baby. Craig James getting in on the action for this one. He is going to be playing at corner, and I thought he looked pretty good in the preseason. Oreo wants to know what we're having for lunch. I had some buffalo chicken dip during the 1 o'clock games. I don't know what I'm going to go with for the 4 o'clock slate. He's thinking wings and mozzarella sticks. This is a pro wings show. As the, oh no, I spoke too soon. I was going to say, it looked like Miami was about to go up 35-14, but they were down at the 1. They're about to go up and make it a 21-point game, but I am go with the wings. That's what I would say. Go with the wings today. We got time for a few more in here. We're going to go till 3:30. So get in any last minute comments, concerns. If you want to join the show, there's the link in there as well. We could do calls if you wish. I'm good with that. I like the sauce. Fearless Grim saying you got to get the wings with the sauce. I also am a big fan of Nick Mangold's barbecue sauce. I picked that up over the summer, and that has been a favorite of mine on chicken. I think it's so. If you haven't gotten it yet, not a paid promotion, a genuine promotion for Nick Mangold's barbecue sauce. It's excellent. 10 out of 10. What's the score at the half? I will say semi-low scoring game at the half. I will say 10-6 Eagles at halftime. Jets kick 2 field goals in the first half. They get a touchdown and a field goal. I'll say 10-6 Eagles. Oh God, this is a good one. Our wings are dry today with no sauce. Yeah, RIP in peace. Not the best. Don't love to see that. How'd you pull that one off? Prestige says I have the greatest fantasy quarterback room of all time: Mahomes, Tua, and Goff. How'd you pull that one off? Is that all in the same league? Is it a 2 quarterback league? I have so many questions. So many questions. I hope you're not rostering 3 quarterbacks on a 1 quarterback league, but I'm interested. We got a few other predictions. White Mike says 17-3. Indy Jet says 14-10 Jets at the half. Nick H wants to know Max Mitchell confidence level. I think he'll be okay today. I don't think he'll be spectacular. I don't think he'll be abysmal, but really tough matchup going up against the speed that the Philadelphia Eagles have on the edge. I think he'll look a little bit better than what he did last year because he's playing next to a better right guard, but matchup wise, not a great start. Or not a great spot to be a starter in against this Eagles team. In the same league. There we go. Brian says, over under on how many roughing the passer penalties we benefit from today. None. They will not benefit from a roughing the passer call. I would love for that to change, but I don't know how we can possibly predict otherwise. How could we possibly predict a change? They haven't got a roughing the passer call since 2004. Chad Pennington was the quarterback the last time the Jets got a roughing the passer call. I haven't, don't fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Christian McCaffrey returned, by the way, so I'm happy. 200-3 Jets at the half. I think you're being a little too pessimistic with that 3 points for the Philadelphia Eagles. Matt says, I met Brady Quinn in person last week. Weird experience as a Jet fan. Did you tell him to kick rocks? I hope you stub your toe. How was he? Was he nice, Matt? I'm genuinely curious. Indy Jets wants to know, did Jets forever retire? I don't know. He is gone, and we seem to have also lost Craig, the Zach Wilson truther. I thought he would have been out, in full force after the Jets win over the Broncos, but it seems like he has disappeared from existence. So no Jets forever, no Craig. The prestige, this just shows you, man, it's the NFL. Weird stuff happens. Are the Browns really about to beat the 49ers without Watson and Chubb? It looks that way. It really does look that way. It's crazy. Matt, to answer your question, how I got that quarterback room, I had to trade an injured JJ with Brock Purdy. I got Tua and Swift in return. That's not a terrible trade, all things considered. Tua and Swift, those are two guys who I like a lot. Carmelo says 30 passing attempts for Zach Wilson. I would take the over on that. If their Jets are going to win this game, I think you have to throw the ball. I'll say 35 times. Oh, and now Christian McCaffrey went back to the locker room. We can't have nice things today, apparently. Matt says, I also met Urban Meyer, Mark Ingram, Matt Leinart, but Brady was okay. He was kind of a douche, but took a picture with me. So, all right. Not crazy unexpected. That's about on brand for what I would have imagined, or how I would have imagined that went. Everaldo says, I'm afraid to watch the game today. So many injuries. The Jets are down a ton of people right now. It stinks. It really does. I would have felt better if they had Sauce and DJ Reed. Those guys being out, I think, makes a big difference. I'm going to stick with my original prediction. I'll say 24-14 Eagles. 24-14 Eagles. J.E. says, I hope we don't give up points on the first drive. Amen. They have too many times this year given up points on the first drive of the game. That is something that I would very much so like to change. Has anyone seen Jets Forever and Dick Butkus in the same room? No, we have not. That's a very valid point. I don't know who. I wonder if they are the same. I don't know who this is, but apparently someone from Abbott Elementary is here to support the Jets. Tyler James Williams. Tyler James. No, that sounds familiar. Is that? Hold on. Please hold the phone. Tyler James Williams. Oh, that's the kid from Everybody Hates Chris. I haven't seen him on TV in about 15 years. I didn't realize. I was like, wait, that guy actually looks familiar. And Little Bill. The guy from Everybody Hates Chris and Little Bill. Look at that. I didn't know he was on Abbott Elementary. More you know. Maybe the Jets should burn some sage in locker room pregame to avoid further injuries. Yeah, they got to do something a little different because injuries, as we know, have been a big problem for this team. Not ideal. Aaron was supposed to be in a boot for like 12 weeks, and he's already walking on his own. Wow. Yeah, this is Aaron Rodgers built different. Confirmed built different. Aaron Rodgers confirmed built different. Look, that is going to wrap it up for our pregame show. King Jamie the Mad chimes in, say 27-23 Jets win, 2 sacks, 1 pick six, 2 touchdown passes, and 2 field goals. That's a perfect way to end this stream with some positivity. I like it. I like the positivity. Before you guys go, if you can, please make sure to leave a like before you head out. Really means a lot. It's a big way to support the channel. It's free. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And hopefully we're talking about a New York Jets victory after this game. I'll be on with Green Bean at the half. So make sure to tune into that. And I will catch you next time.